of the great things about this class is that Iowa Able Foundation has very little brand visibility in Iowa and Ames. So we'll go through a little bit about why that is, but this class has been helpful. This is the last of the 10 teams, and so these 10 teams have been able to help us get the word out about our organization. So on a snowy night, which boo for snow, but yay for you guys coming out. So I'm going to start, I started one of the presentations with just a couple of questions to ask you. So you don't have to answer yes or no, just answer in your head. So have you or a loved one or a family member ever been afraid to open up their credit card statement because they're afraid of what they've done with their credit card? Have you or a loved one ever worried about paying bills, making sure that you can pay your electric bill, your to pay for your food, or other bills that you have on a month-to-month basis? Have you or your family members ever been afraid of not being able to, or going from paycheck to paycheck, and that's the only way that you know that you'll be able to pay for your expenses because you don't have any kind of savings built up? So if you've answered any of those questions as yes, or if you know somebody who has answered that question yes, that's 90% of our clients come to us because they are facing that question of whether or not they can pay their bills or meet their basic needs. But on top of that, not only are they worried about their financial situation just on basic needs, but many of all of our clients have a disability. So imagine that you're worried already about paying your bills, and then you're in a car accident and you have a spinal cord injury. Your life changes forever. Not only do you have to have medical bills that you're going to pay for, but also you're going to have to change your house because you may not be able to get that wheelchair through the doors anymore. The bathroom may need to be accessible, so that way before you would be able to go into the bathroom easily, but now you're going to have to change your whole entire bathroom just for your basic needs. And so that's why our clients come to Iowa Able Foundation, because they have nowhere else to go. So they can't go and get a traditional financing through a bank because their credit has been ruined either through their medical bills because of their disability or because they were financially vulnerable before. And so those are the questions that our clients come to us. So we're the Iowa Able Foundation. We and I'm supposed to provide kids so for your board. So we're Iowa Able Foundation. We do lending, educating, and advancing. So if I do that kind of weird voice, it means pay attention. There's a reason why I'm saying it that way. We were established in 1993. Yep, 1993. What was happening in 1993? Iowa Able was started. And the reason why Iowa Able was started was because Iowa took a look at how are we helping Iowans with disabilities, knowing that they were not able to get the financing to be able to get their wheelchairs, hearing aids, their modified vehicles. So they created a program called the Iowa Program for Assistive Tech. That was $500,000 from the state that came to Iowa Able. And then they had private partnerships to help with us, which included Wellmark, Principal Financial Group, Easter Seals Contract, and some others, but Wellmark is probably the most important one for your purposes. 2003, we got a grant from the U.S. Department of Education that included not only our lending program, but now our financial education program and coaching and education. 2018, a significant year. Anna, what happens to Anna? Anna used to be living a life in England, but then comes back to Iowa, where she grew up, in time for the polar vortex. Woohoo! Not. But she got the job at Iowa Able Foundation, yay, in 2018. And then in 2019, a year later, Iowa Able Foundation approved some significant programmatic changes to Iowa Able Foundation to include, which we'll talk about more in the other slides, but 2018, big year, 1993, big year. You guys probably weren't even born then. Oh, my math. Ooh, so here are our partners and sponsors. Again, Wellmark, United Way. Iowa Home Consulting is a new partner. They're a business that's located in Ames, and they were interested. They thought they would be interested in our home repair loans, but they actually have a passion for animals. So one of the loan programs we have is for service animals, and they have a passion for animals, so they provided funding for us to be able to loan out dollars to be able to get and train guide dogs, emotional support animals, those kind of loans. Our mission statement. So the Iowa ABLE Foundation empowers Iowans with disabilities, their families, and the aging to what? What is the goal of Iowa ABLE Foundation? To achieve and maintain independence through lending, educating, and advancing. So who do we serve? Iowans with disabilities, their families, and the aging. Why do we focus on these particular population groups? Because if you have a disability or if you're aging, you're going to be more vulnerable when it comes to your financial situation. Disabilities, again, because of your medical expenses and all the things that go into helping you achieve and maintain independence is a lot more challenging. The aging is difficult. Again, part of the reason why I came back to Iowa is that my dad lives in Indianola, Iowa. He would not consider himself to be an older Iowan, but he is. He's retired, and had a significant heart attack in 2018. And so I came home to help with his so that he could stay on the farm, which includes making sure that his bathroom is modified, and that I'm in charge now of trimming the 2 acres of lawn, which, let me just tell you, the trimmer, the Black & Decker trimmer, is a dangerous tool. I have a permanent bruise on the side of my leg, so just be careful if you get assigned to that task. But again, in most cases, if it weren't for my dad having a good job and retiring, some of the challenges that he's had to overcome would be difficult. And so we get lots of phone calls from people who are older Iowans who want to stay in their homes and are really struggling because they don't want to go into a retirement home or to a facility, and so they want to be able to live at home. Now, one of the reasons why people ask me, why did you come and work at Iowa ABLE Foundation? You don't have a disability, you're not super old yet. I'm old, but I'm not that old yet. But God willing, I will be 95 someday, and I will want to eat Fruit Loops at my sink and be able to be independent. And so, and another reason is that I have a friend that worked with me. God bless you. She was 18 years old and getting ready to go to college. She was painting houses in the summer for a summer job, was at the top of the ladder, fainted and fell backwards, and her life was forever changed because she had a spinal cord injury and was in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And so that could be me in a second. You never know how life will be. So working for Iowa ABLE Foundation, I'm actually an advocate for myself for something I hope will never happen to me when it comes to something like that. And something that I do hope to be a very fashionable old woman eating my Fruit Loops in my kitchen sink. So let's see. So our goal, achieve and maintain independence through lending, educating, and advancing. Okay, so what are our options that we have for lending? We have, making sure I hit the questions correctly. We have a home modification loan. Home modification loans. So that way, again, we talked about widening your doors or ramps or those kind of things. That is one of the loans. Vehicle modification. If you want to drive, you get a parking. You can make your vehicle adapted so that you can drive. Assistive tech, again, wheelchairs, hearing aids. We get a lot of loan requests for hearing aids, the support animal, home repair, vehicle purchase, education equipment, education employment. So if you live with a disability, it's much more difficult for you to get employed. So we have a young lady who has her PhD, got in the 1% of her MCAT, and she still struggles to find a job. Why? Because she has a disability. She is legally blind and struggles to find a job. Smartest lady I know, but still struggles. And so one of the things that she's doing is starting a equine therapy program in her own business. So she'll come to Iowa ABLE Foundation to help provide funding to start her own business. So you can come to Iowa ABLE Foundation for that. The credit builder loan, I'll talk a little bit more about that one because that's one of the questions. So this is what I'm really excited about as far as what our board members approved is a sliding scale interest rate. So before, our interest rate used to be set at 9.25%. So if you don't know, 9.25% is good if you can't get a loan with like Bankers Trust, for example. You're going to be actually denied for a loan, our clients typically. 9.25% is better than a payday lender as well. But I know, because I used to work for Habitat for Humanity, that 9.25% for our population, you might as well be asking for 1,000% interest. And so what we proposed to Iowa Able Foundation Board is to come up with a sliding scale interest rate. I'm trying to see if this is one of the questions. So you can either get a 0 to 4% loan if you participate in a financial empowerment program. If you decide you don't want to do the financial empowerment program, which means working with a financial coach, taking financial education classes, then your interest rate will be 5 to 9%, which means we're trying to incentivize you to be able to break that cycle of poverty by getting the education tools and resources to help you. But if you don't want to do that, this is America, you're free to do what you want, you just will be charged a higher interest rate. But still good. So we will have a forgivable loan for Iowa Able Foundation, so if you have assistive tech needs, the hearing aid, if you meet the income eligibility requirements, that forgivable loan will work like this. You come to us for a loan for $3,000 for hearing aids, you can only pay $5 a month. You'll pay that $5 a month over a 3-year period of time. If you participate in a financial empowerment program, everything that you saved for that $5 per month will come back to you, and basically you'll get those hearing aids for free. But you will have participated in our program and participate in the education program. So I think this is one of the questions. So the way that our education program worked before is that we would use our financial coaches as kind of a consolation prize. We're sorry you didn't get a loan, but you get to work with one of our fabulous financial coaches. And they would work on just the financial education piece, which is what is a budget, what are your wants versus needs, what is a credit card, those kind of things. And so that's helpful, but again, as I told you, some of our clients that have a disability, that newly disabled, they might have been a CFO at a bank, and they're in a wheelchair, and I keep using it as an example, or whatever happens to you, or you have an illness. And so you might know what is a budget, but you don't know your disability benefits. So you might know that SSI, SDI, and all the other benefits that are available to you because you are disabled, you can have access to. And it is very, very complicated. So I've done 3 8-hour training sessions on disability benefits, and I can't tell you anything, honestly. You should fire me for that. Don't tell my board. But so we're going to have some disability benefits experts to be able to navigate through that system to be able to make sure that you know what you have the right to have, because that helps you if you don't have to get a full $3,000 loan because of the state program that will cover $2,000 of it. You only have to come to Iowa Able for $1,000, and that's what we want to do. If you have food insecurity, or if you get a service animal and you're living at the poverty level and you don't know how to feed that animal, there are animal food pantries. There are food pantries out there, so we want you to be able to have a holistic approach to everything that will make you financially independent for our financial empowerment program. So, this is one of your questions. What am I supposed to say? Oh, yes. So, benefits planning is one of the things that's new and fabulous. Benefits planning. Okay. So, yep, so this is just a slide that we showed to the board to show why we needed this. So what we'll have too is every individual is different. So before it was a very cookie cutter kind of way of approaching financial education. You do your, what is a budget, you do what is credit, blah, blah, blah. But now we're going to have what we're calling a PEP, a PEP, Personalized Empowerment Plan. Very cool. Which will mean that when that applicant comes in, we'll be able to create an individualized plan to help them be able to get everything that they need. So one of the things we work with is Easter seals, because they might come in with a hearing aid and that's all that they think that they need. The Easter seals will say, you know what, have you considered getting a bed shaker? Because how do you know when your alarm is going off? They don't. And so the bed shakes, they have a bed shaker device that will shake the bed to be able to tell you that it's 7 o'clock, time to get up for your 8:30 class. And so again, this personalized empowerment plan will be very individualized to what they need. The PEP. Oops. Oh, so we already talked about that again, the PEP. So the credit builder loan. This is really for, I'm gonna put my nerd hat on. This is very, very mind-blowing for our board, because when you work in nonprofits, our mission, which I told you, is working with individuals with disabilities and the aging. And what we propose to Iowa Able Foundation Board is that we want that credit builder loan, which is much like a credit card. So it is helping Iowans be able to establish credit or repair their credit. And so again, with the Iowan with a disability, especially if you're a child with a disability, you're not going to have a credit score. So if you're emancipated to 18 and need to get an apartment, a phone, you know you need a credit card or some kind of credit history to be able to apply for it. So our board at first said we only want to serve individuals with disabilities. And we said we need to open this up to everyone. So the credit builder loan is now open to every single Iowan. If you are 18, you are eligible for our credit builder loan. So each of you are probably eligible. And so we were looking at, particularly though, veterans, refugees, single parents, students, and aging. Those population groups can use that to be able to help build credit. The way our credit builder program works is that you have to be able to go through our financial empowerment program to be able to build your credit. We report back to the credit bureau agencies and we'll walk with you throughout that year to be able to build a credit score. So that is one of the questions, which is, it is open to everyone. So one of the things I want to talk about this loan too is because when we talk about finances, when I told you when I worked for Habitat for Humanity, and are all of you familiar with that organization? Yeah, I love that organization. So one of the things though that that Habitat for Humanity homeowners have to go through is a financial education classes as well. And those are very difficult classes because you're asking very, very personalized questions about their money situation. We even, at Iowa Able Foundation, in our loan application, when they go through their expenses, there's a tobacco and alcohol line item. Some people are very, very embarrassed to talk about how much do they pay for alcohol and tobacco. And so now we have one lady who was like very bold. She's like, is it Maker's Mark? I don't know. But it's very expensive type of alcohol. And she said she spends about $50 a month on that Maker's Mark, which that's a lot of money actually, to tell you the truth. But she had no shame about it. She's like, yep, that's right. So again, we're not here to be able to judge, although God, I did sound very judgy, that's not one of the questions. But one of the things about this credit builder loan too, as we launched it, is that we had an applicant who absolutely refused to let us pull his credit report. So what we want to do is be able to pull your credit score before you get to us and then after to show measurement of impact. He did not want us to do that because his credit score was below 620. If you have a score below 620, you cannot get a loan with a traditional bank. They will refuse you, flat out refuse to give you a loan. But Iowa Able Foundation, that's not a criteria. We will give you a loan even if you have a credit score of below 620. So he was so embarrassed, and when I called him back up, I said, I want you to know, sir, that we do not judge you on your credit score. That is a measurement that the external world uses to be able to help determine whether or not you get a loan with the bank. That score does not determine who you are and the value that you have as a human being. So at Iowa Able Foundation, we value and honor your story, and we respect your privacy, but we want you to know we want to move you from a place of financial vulnerability to empowerment. Now, how many of you have seen the movie Fight Club? It is one of my favorite movies, which it is a very violent movie, and so the last time I talked about this, the only person that's seen it is that her brother made her watch it at 8, which that is a terrible brother. You should not watch that movie at 8. But one of the movie lines in there, roughly, I'm not going to edit it down and censor it, but I love this line in here where he says, you are not your job, you are not how much money you have in your bank, you are not the car you drive, you're not the contents of your wallet, you're not your khakis, and if you know that movie, you know, in every movie, right? But what I love about that is that the same thing, and a lesson to each of you as well. You have value because you exist. We care about you at Iowa Able Foundation because we want to help you and we want to walk with you in this journey, and we want you to be proud and excited about being an Iowan. We want you to work, we want you to play, we want you to contribute to the communities that you live in. And so you are not your credit score, and sorry, Dr. Sue, you are not your grade in your class. That does not measure who you are as a human being. So that is just one of the little life lessons that's not on one of the quizzes, but I hope you value. So let's see, and you gotta tell me when to cut off. So our credit builder loans go in increments of 1,000, just go like this to me. 1,800, 500, and 300, and then we distribute the loan based on what is accomplished in those set of time. Make sure I get all the questions. So, okay. Oh, you know what? I'm missing one of those slides. But okay, so who are our financial coaches? Well, there's 4 of them right now. One's name is Carol. One's name is Kent, one's name is Jill, and one's name is Lucas. And then another, the loan officer at Iowa Able Foundation is an Iowa State student. He was an intern at Bankers Trust and we hired him to be a loan officer. And this is a trick question. So everyone calls him Jason, but his real name is Justin. But he gets called everything but Justin, but for our purposes, his name is Jason. So what questions do you have for me about Iowa Able Foundation? I'm trying to think of them while I look to make sure that we get all the questions. Yeah. Yes.
You're
good. Oh, good. Okay.
You have everything.
Okay, I got everything. All right. So that is Iowa Able Foundation. I was going to tell you the other thing is that our issue, which is why we're so grateful to Team 3, yay, A+++++, great food, and for the cookies alone, right, they should get an A. So Iowa Able Foundation, we're located right behind the Dunkin' Donuts on Sheldon. So I have been in Iowa Able for a year. So if you know Mel, who does Mel in the Morning on the radio show on KASI, he's been in Ames for 20 years, interviewed tons of community leaders and nonprofit organizations. And when I went to go on a show about a month ago, he had no idea who Iowa Able Foundation was, and we're in his own backyard, which is so weird to me. And so that's why we have issues, is because nobody knows who we are or where we are. And the other problem is that the state has created a program called the Iowa Able Accounts. And so that is, they work with individuals with disabilities, but it's a state program that has a savings account for individuals with disabilities to not impact their disability benefits. So people come to us all the time asking to set up an Iowa Able account, and we don't do that. So that's another one of our issues. So that's why, at the very least today, if you get bingo, great, because I know they have 4 fabulous prizes. But also, if you just leave today knowing what Iowa Able Foundation does, where we're located, if you have a family member or a peer to be able to reference Iowa Able Foundation, that is so incredibly huge. So I want to thank Team 3 again, whoop whoop, and I want to thank each of you for coming out on this crappy snowy evening. So it's amazing. So then you guys get to do the bingo, right? So I think I've got all the answers, but I'll be hanging around, so if you need me, I can be like